Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I am recording this on a Mars day, moon night, and it is a sun hour. So the 4th of February, technically, Pacific Standard Time. So, yeah, it's been a minute. Uranus went direct on the 30th. Since like the day of Uranus's direct motion, so many, so many, so many things happened. Like here in my building, the elevator's been down for like a month or more, and it suddenly was fixed. But then 2 days later, it was broken again. But now it's fixed. So like a lot of weird, unexpected, confusing, confusing feelings. Like it was a just like sudden, shocks and surprises. So and there's been a lot of endings and separations. Yeah, unexpected decisions to leave a group or join a group, or just shifts, like status changes. It's definitely the season of expect the unexpected. So whether these things will be reversed, who knows, because Mars is still retrograde, and Mars is the energy of our will and like the action that we take. So and it's in Cancer right now. The feelings that we're feeling, which feelings, our emotions, are what drive us to take action. In Cancer, it's more inward, so we can have this like inner dialogue of, not feeling comfortable or not feeling cared for. Mars will station direct in Cancer on the 24th of February, but it'll stay in Cancer until the 18th of April. So during that time, we could be revisiting those decisions that we made over the past month or so, and there could be reversals in how we feel about the separations or the decisions that we made to part ways. And I mean, it can show up in so many different ways. Mars is our will and our action, and how we set our goals. Like our ambition. But yeah, that is still in play, and it was Mars was in a square to Chiron today, at 19 degrees. Chiron in Aries at 19 degrees, and Mars at 19 degrees in Cancer. So that could feel like inhibited healing efforts where the will is strong but the flesh is weak. Like you want to make that phone call but you don't know what to say. When Mars goes direct on the 24th of February, it'll be at 17 degrees, and Chiron will be at 20 degrees. So when they are both direct, when Mars is direct, there could be some actual actions, steps being taken, phone calls being made, conversations had to heal wounds and feel more of a sense of belonging and forgive. That would be the biggest thing right now with all of the energy in Pisces. The North Node is in Pisces. Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces, the modern ruler of Pisces. Venus is at 29 degrees of Pisces at the moment, and enters Aries the early morning of the 4th. Yeah, so Venus, Neptune, the North Node, the Sun, Mercury will be in Pisces on the 14th. So all of this emphasis, this focus on Pisces energies, is kind of like the pull toward compassion, forgiveness of old patterns, endings, grieving. I mean, we could be grieving the loss of our old self, our old patterning. There's this like space that is needed in between changes. So when a change is made, like a status change, when someone goes away or someone passes away, you leave a job, any kind of ending, there's this space that's needed in order to kind of let things settle and really absorb what's just happened. It could be a shock to the system. And in that space, in that liminal space, which is what Pisces is all about, is like that unknown in-between area, that liminal space where it could be confusing. There's this reaction or like a impulse to go down this like speculation spiral and question, like, Was it this? Was it that? Like, are they doing this because of, they just want to do, they just want this? There's all kinds of off the wall, harebrained speculation because we don't have the answers. Whether that's like what happened in the past, or where you're unsure of, what direction to step into. There's like this great unknown, and all of the energy in Pisces with the North Node there is giving us the permission to just let things sit, and we don't have to have the answers. And in that quiet space is where solutions can take shape. Uranus is in Taurus, which is an earth sign, and Pisces being a water sign. There's a lot of alchemy that can be had between water and earth. So if we can just kind of, relax a little bit and let things, settle, while keeping positive, like holding the frequency and keeping the visualization of what you are dreaming of your future to be, then the divine has a way of just kind of allowing things to fall into place. It's that intangible magic that North Node in Pisces is really asking us to trust fall into. And it is easier said than done, especially with all the things that are pulling us away from our center, our source. But all this whole like concentration of water energy is really asking us to like work through those emotions. Because who is it? Charles Eisenstein, and he speaks all about sacred economy, which is totally connected to dream weaving. And I heard him say this one line, how the heart knows and the mind believes. So it's up to the heart to communicate with the mind what the heart knows. And so if the mind is kind of like distracted and stuck on old patterns and old paradigms, it's going to be harder for the mind to believe what the heart is saying. But the heart knows. The heart is like this center. It's like the motherboard. It's like got access to all sorts of connections and frequencies that we can't see. When someone walks in the room and your heart starts beating really fast, whether there's someone that makes you nervous, or someone that you like in a good way or bad way, that is a signal that you're getting from your heart about this stimulus that just walked in the room. You can sit with it, and sometimes it helps when you close your eyes and just kind of like focus on what the heart is doing, what the rest of your body is doing, that somatic response, whether your hands are sweaty, or you have this like nervous jitter, or your knees are, you're weak in the knees. Your heart is the one that gets the first signal of what's going on. But Uranus is going to be moving right along and enters Gemini, going from Earth to air in July. This is going to really feel destabilizing. Things are going to be moving very fast. Is there a retrograde? There's a retrograde between July and April where Uranus is going to go back over the last degrees of Taurus. But July 7th is when Uranus trines Pluto in Aquarius. And so these are both air signs. I might have mentioned this in the last video, but yeah, between Gemini and Aquarius, these are going to be very fast-paced times where communication is rapidly changing the way the collective communicates. So this could look like telepathy. There's actually a podcast called Telepathy Tapes, which talks about how autistic children have had this ability to connect with universal wisdoms, but they've always been, like deemed emotionally disabled, or, because they can't communicate what they're feeling. But I remember being at a shop in Guatemala, in Atitlan, and it was a mother and her, I think she was about maybe 16 or 17-year-old daughter who had autism. And it was a friend of mine and I like kind of understood how like there's this sixth sense that autistic people have, and we were talking about that, and the daughter was in agreement and she understood everything we were talking about, and she was confirming you know, like the connection that she has with this other level, other dimension source, or other dimension connection. And so that kind of communication is going to come more online and be more accepted. And you know, we're learning that the more unusual it is, actually the more gifted and in touch with universal spirits, celestial spirits. So yeah, Uranus direct had a lot of impact on us and will continue to. Jupiter is going direct in Gemini tomorrow at 11 degrees. Uranus just went direct last week, and the moon will be meeting up with Uranus. And so we have this like extra energy of sudden change, because the first quarter square is usually that phase where there's something that you're realizing is not working. So this could be, you know, some sort of event. I mean, I don't want to call it a failure, but like something that's come up where you see, maybe it's like a bug, you know, like in tech, you know, like there's a bug that you find and it disrupts the way a certain product or, you know, the app is operating. And so there's something that comes up where you are made aware of this disruption that is kind of like throwing you're finding a kink in the chain. And so there's something that you have to do and figure out to like iron out the kinks. And so this kink, this disruption, this, you know, bug or whatever it might be, has a lot of, you know, surrounding problems, surrounding energies around its signatures that add to this this disruption. And Uranus going direct, which, you know, Uranus is the planet of sudden events, unexpected, you know, disruptions, but it's meant to shake things into place. You know, it makes things that are stagnant like unstagnated, if that's a word. And so it can be very destabilizing, but eventually it will kind of reshuffle things into place, and the repairs that are being made can kind of like settle in. And I feel like that's kind of what happened over this past weekend with the broken elevator in my building that's been broken for like a month and a half or so, because of the bakery next door using it as a freight elevator instead of, you know, the passenger elevator. And there's no like sign in the elevator that says maximum weight, blah blah blah. So I mean, I'm sure it was an oversight back when agreements were being negotiated. But yeah, there's, you know, things that we have to work out that are coming up again that haven't been quite ironed out, so that whatever the repair is can be long lasting. So this first quarter square with the moon in Taurus, and then the moon eventually meeting up with Uranus in the next day or two, Uranus is at 23 degrees, will add even that much more kind of aspect of tension. And Venus is also moving into Aries, which is, you know, Venus is the ruler of Taurus. And so Venus moving into Aries, going from water to fire, is a big change. It's going to be, you know, instead of Venus kind of like sitting back and allowing things to happen and, you know, hoping for the best and having the rose-colored glasses, like things will work out. She's got to be patient. Venus in Aries is going to be a lot more assertive. Aries, you know, being a fire sign, being the first spark, you know, that sets things off. Venus in Aries energy is that type of kind of like go-getter. Like Venus itself, like the energy of Venus, is the type that wants things to be harmonious and wants relationships to work well, and of course like attracting those things that you want to have. But in the sign of Aries is more go-getter and assertive. And so it can be this energy of combativeness where, you know, things are not really done in a very soft and harmonious way. It's more warrior-like, and it could be loud, you know. Venus in Aries Makes me think of, what is her name? Xena, the warrior princess. And so it's that kind of energy. But, at the same time, she is a delicate flower. So at the same time, it's, having this impetus to go after what you want, but still having that sensitivity to unpleasantness. So Venus is entering Aries and then retrogrades on the 1st of March at 10 degrees Aries, and then re-enters Pisces on the 27th of March. And between 29 degrees and 24 degrees is when Venus will be retrograde. We'll be revisiting those relationships, or someone will re-enter your life to bring sort of like wisdom, or relationship where maybe some sort of lesson wasn't learned, or the relationship that comes back, or the relationship that is rehashed, is a significant relationship because it's meeting up with the North Node in Pisces. And so the North Node in Pisces, again, like, that's our destiny point. And these can be relationships that resonate with you on really deep levels, spiritual levels. This can be like a soul tribe kind of connection. Maybe you guys are, working together, collaborating together, putting out a service that helps the collective in some way, some sort of healing service. And these are going to be very significant. Like, these are long-lasting relationships, especially with Saturn in the mix. Like, Saturn and Venus will be conjoining again. They've already had their first conjunction about 3 weeks ago. And so when Venus re-enters Pisces, Saturn and Venus, as well as Mercury, are going to be in the mix with the North Node. So there's going to be this concentration of Pisces energies, and everyone's going to be affected. Like, Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, and so there can be this, like, indecision about what direction to go in. But it's really important to just trust the energies, and, like, really sit and kind of allow those feelings to come through you, and, like, not get in your way, because the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, can come up with all these additional options or what-if situations where you can just be kind of, like, overloaded with so many different possibilities and avenues. But it's important to really ground, like, embody that earth energy. Like, the Uranus in Taurus is going to be giving you these sudden insights if you're able to, like, ground into some earth, like, literally put your feet in the grass, in the sand, and you can receive some sort of epiphany or message. Consider Uranus to be like this satellite dish that's able to receive messages from the ethers. And so when you're grounded in earth and, like, really not allowing distractions to pull you away from this connection, then there can be, like, sudden downloads where you're able to solve these problems that have been going on with this sudden insight. And I like to bring, like, this piece of copper. It's like copper piping. I keep it with me wherever I go, like, just in case I find myself at a park. I have it, like, in a little garment bag, and I just sit on this like, circular piping of copper in the grass. And so if you can do that, you can, like, absorb and generate that connection with the earth even that much more. But yeah, it's important to, like, not get in your way, especially for the mutable signs, instead of, like, overthinking or overanalyzing or ruminating about all these new options that are coming up. Just kind of, like, envision the possibilities with this opportunity that has presented itself. And then you can, like, kind of, feel into it. Yeah, so that's Venus in Aries. And so, yeah, anybody who has Venus in Aries, if you have a Venus in Aries, you could be experiencing a Venus return. So that's always nice, especially, like, aesthetically. You can have this kind of, like, makeover, or relationships can come back, or women, female energies can come back into your life that can, bestow some wisdom. And of course, the other fire signs are going to be receiving this flow of Venus and Aries energy. the Leos in this. So Jupiter going direct, that happens tomorrow in the sign of Gemini. Jupiter is the ruler of our North Node. So Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. And for this time, while Jupiter is in Gemini, it's going to be squaring the Pisces stellium. So there could be this friction or tension of what to feel and what to think, and taking action or like moving forward with your projects or plans versus resting or using your discernment to make sure that this person that you're collaborating with is in alignment or not. And so there could be a lot of wishful thinking, but then also setbacks where the Pisces energy, Saturn in Pisces especially, because Saturn is discipline and restrictions and rules in the sign of Pisces. It's really asking you to use your discernment to make sure that you're actually putting this spiritual integrity into the project that you're pursuing or working on. And that can be the challenge with Jupiter and Gemini energy, because like Mercury ruled signs, Gemini and Virgo, want to like move forward. They don't really want to waste time. So they're more adept at relying on their mental capacities than their emotional capacities. So the tension between the Pisces and Gemini energies with this focus and concentration in the Pisces energies is really can be uncomfortable because it's so emotion driven. It's like really asking you to focus on how you feel and using your spidey senses to make decisions instead of like the practical data driven typical like what we've kind of been taught or programmed or conditioned to make decisions off of, like trust the data. But yeah, use your sixth sense, your spidey senses, your intuition to determine whether some things are good for you or not. And so Jupiter direct in Gemini, like Gemini is going to have all of these opportunities and blessings presented to them, and all these belief systems can be a big shift in paradigms. This is like, I consider this to be like next generation wisdom. This is the type of energy that sees what's on the other end of the spectrum. It also plays into those movies where the antagonist has become the main character. You didn't see it coming. That kind of wisdom. And with Jupiter and Gemini in an air sign and Pluto in Aquarius also in air sign, there's this flow of understanding, like mental understanding of these belief systems. And with Pluto being the planet of the underworld, deep psychological issues, shadows, this shadow work kind of energy is being pulled to the forefront. And Jupiter in Gemini is allowing us to really see what happened on the flip side. Like there's always three sides to a story. And so that's like, in the movie Mrs. Doubtfire, I haven't seen it yet, but it's presented like the original movie is presented to us in this comedic, like comedy form, where Robin Williams dresses up as their family's housekeeper in the original Mrs. Doubtfire. But in the current Mrs. Doubtfire, it's got this kind of like sinister spin to it, where Mrs. Doubtfire, or Robin Williams, the father, has gone to these extreme steps to basically become an intruder or a stalker, and the music, the background music is very Pluto. So it's, interesting how we're going to start to witness these different sides of these characters, whether it's in the movies or in real life, with your family, in politics. People, on the world stage are going to have this pseudo side of them that comes to the forefront. So definitely expect the unexpected. We have to really stay open to changing our minds and not having any shame about it, and allowing that grace to come through, because we have to keep the eye on the prize. Like, why, if there's some sort of discord or some sort of like ill feeling that you have about a person or what they stand for, you have to kind of separate, what this person stands for. Are they inherently saying these things, making these decisions for the good of the collective? Or are you hating on them because they have this connection to something or someone that has been given a bad rap, or who's been demonized, or who's been vilified, who's been, just like Urfaba in Wicked. She has this aesthetic in Wizard of Oz of being this evil witch. And we've grown up with that image of, in Wizard of Oz, I don't even think she even had a name. She just was the evil, wicked witch of the West. And now in Wicked, in present day Wicked, Urfaba, she's of a person of color. She's green, and what is her name? I don't even know. The protagonist, I guess. What is that singer's name? Anyway, she's always been put in this light of being, good and pure and the more desirable character. But yeah, lo and behold, I haven't even seen the ending of Wicked, of the current Wicked, but it'll probably make me cry for sure, because the underdog is, the underdog story is always misconstrued in the beginning. But yeah, shocks and surprises, we have to really be open to changing our minds and keeping the objective. What is the main objective? We're realizing that capitalism is out the door. We can see that, the decisions that we are making, it ties into sacred economy, the decisions that we're making with our money is intended to support our people, whether our people are the working class, it's definitely not the elites and not the politicians, the ones that have been working the system to their benefit for who knows how long. And it's going to take some time to discern, what these decision makers are intending, if they're making decisions in our best interest or for their own interest, as they have been in the past. But that's where your emotional discipline comes in, where you have to kind of preserve your energy and not get distracted by the propaganda, because media will mudsling and phrase certain headlines in a certain way to make you feel a certain way toward whoever they're talking about, and make your wheels start turning and get you riled up and pissed off about whatever it is. But you have to keep in mind, the whole RFK and Donald Trump thing. I know that they seem to be an unlikely match, but that's one of the things that you have to really discern, separate their association from their intention. Yeah, they are on the same team, but anything can happen. Changes are going to take place that we could have never imagined. There's even, I believe that, the voting system is not going to be the same as it was before. So who knows if Donald Trump will even remain president, or if we're going to have any sort of authority that is leading the country. We have seen so many situations and events where people are standing up finally and becoming self-governed, self-sovereign, and not waiting for an approval on basic human rights and repairs. And the bureaucratic system is just proven itself to be unproductive and unbeneficial to the collective. People are realizing that. And so, I mean, like it's been said this whole time, there's more of us than there are of them, and that is going to take shape this year, next year, over the next 6 years, 8 years. So that is something to actually look forward to. So that is the I think that's a big part of the, I guess, tension that we are feeling with this first quarter square, because the Taurus moon wants things to be stable, and it has everything to do with, you know, our foundations, our stability, our money, our financial systems, how we earn a living. And the Aquarius sun wants to change the game, break paradigms, break the rules, rebel, protest. You know, these are conflicting energies that are going to change the game. We have a lot of energy in, we have strong energies in Aquarius, Pluto, and Mercury at the moment. And let's see, Pallas Athena is currently in Capricorn and will be moving into Aquarius on February 17th. You know, there's this like astrological convergence of the way the goddess asteroids are taking shape in this grand trine. Sedna in Gemini at 0 degrees. Sedna takes like forever to make her cycles. So she's been at 0 degree Gemini for months. I think she takes like 500 years to change signs, something like that. Then Black Moon Lilith is in Libra, or in Virgo, and changes signs on the 5th. So she'll be at 0 degrees Libra. Pallas will be at 0 degrees Aquarius on February 17th, which is where Pluto is. Pluto's at 2 degrees Aquarius. And then on February 17th, Black Moon Lilith will retrograde from Scorpio. Black Moon Lilith moves the fastest. So Black Moon Lilith will move from Scorpio and retrograde back to Virgo. And will oppose, like when Black Moon Lilith retrogrades back to 29 Virgo, opposes Neptune, and then goes direct and starts at 0 degrees Libra again, they will still be in this grand air trine. So it'll be Sedna in Gemini, Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees Libra again, and Pallas Athena will be at, I think, around 6 degrees Aquarius by the time Black Moon Lilith re-enters Libra. There's like this beautiful cooperation energy that Sedna, Black Moon Lilith, and Pallas are making. Sedna is like an asteroid that has to do with betrayal, and her mythological story was how her father pretty much, so she's like on a boat and she's like thrown over and hanging on the ledge by her fingers, and her father, there's like different stories of how this myth goes, but like her father betrays her and like chops her fingers off, and the fingers like fall into the sea, and then all these beautiful water creatures, ocean creatures are created. And so she has a lot to do with betrayal and how she was left to die at the hand of her father. You know, like that can play out in so many different ways in present day. I don't know how many of us can relate in one way or another. Like, there's definitely been situations where I've been like the guy saved themselves and, like, you know, left me to take the fall, or some sort of situation where, you know, there wasn't protection from that male figure, you know. So there's probably a word that describes that in other languages, but, you know, betrayal being like the best word, for lack of a better term. Patriarchal betrayal. So this with Black Moon Lilith in Libra. Black Moon Lilith is the dark side of the moon, and in the sign of Libra, this could be, you know, like relationships where there's a side of the relationship that is being tended to in order to gain some sort of benefit. And instead in Gemini, Gemini is communication, how we process learning, how we process information, learning, the hands, you know, like Sedna is all about the fingers, you know. I feel like it has a lot to do with our communication devices. And then Pallas in Aquarius. Pallas is creative intelligence, and so there's a survival mechanism to Pallas Athena as well. And in the sign of Aquarius, I mean, this could be like really clever, like wickedly clever strategies, like strategic, creative strategies. So I'm all for that. And then February 20th, Juno moves into Sagittarius, which is another yang sign. So air signs are also yang. And Juno moving to Sagittarius, the day Juno moves into Sagittarius is when the moon also moves into Sagittarius. So there's this like support of Juno, which is the asteroid of marriage, partnership, like any kind of relationship where there are responsibilities assumed by both parties. And Juno will be in opposition to Sedna in Gemini, so that can be this interesting tug of war. I mean, Sedna being like the energy of survival due to betrayal. It's got that tinge of betrayal, and it could be Sedna in Gemini, really paying attention to any potential fallouts, like trying to figure out any potential pitfalls or challenges or potential backstabbing kind of energies. Jupiter direct in Gemini and Mercury being the ruler of Gemini, Mercury and the Sun are in Aquarius, making a trine to Jupiter. Did I mention that? Did I already mention that? I think I did. But yeah, belief systems can really take shape when Jupiter goes direct, because we've, like, while it's been retrograde, we've been kind of like mulling over whether these beliefs are worth putting our energy into or giving our attention to. So now that it is direct, we can start to see them take shape. Yeah, I consider Venus and Aries to be like that show me the love energy instead of show me the money. Like the capitalistic focus is no more. You know, we're not doing that anymore. And so we're really connecting to those companies or small businesses that we resonate with and that stand for something that we believe in. And they're not just trying to make a dollar off of the underprivileged. We're connecting with businesses that are not taking it, not just like not taking advantage of groups, but they are actively supporting groups. So show me the love. Yeah, I think that's all I can say at the moment. It is the 4th, and then we have a full moon in Leo. I believe that's on the 12th of February. So hopefully I'll be back to talk about that. Alright, so hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, just grounding in the earth as often as possible is the main thing, I would say. Would be the most beneficial during this time. And with Uranus direct in Taurus, it's going to move into Gemini and really speed things up. And while Jupiter is still in Gemini, Jupiter will be moving into Cancer in June. But yeah, during that time, the square of Jupiter to all the Pisces planets can be can feel like a grinding of the gears, especially for the mutable signs, Gemini, especially Sagittarius, Virgo. But we do really want to lean into the Pisces energies of rest and trust in the unknown. And I know it's like easier said than done because we've been so programmed to keep moving, like keep producing, you know, like keep on earning a paycheck. But this is a call, like an order from the universe to take it easy and trust. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of trial and error. And we have to give ourselves grace for any mistakes. I mean, like, there are no mistakes. Like, anything that doesn't go as planned are just lessons. And everyone is in the same boat. Like, we're all in this together. We're learning brand new ways of being and learning brand new ways of communicating. Like, literally, new devices, new technology. And so, yeah, there's going to be a huge learning curve with everything we're doing. So it's important to give ourselves grace and give each other grace. You know, there's no point in making demands for answers that nobody knows the answer to. Like anybody's guess is as good as the next person. And so instead of throwing a fit and getting everybody's stress levels and cortisol levels up, take a step back, relax, and trust that we are being supported. That the planetary movements are being orchestrated in ways that have never been seen before. And I think it was Pam Gregory was speaking about the movement of Uranus's placement in Gemini and Pluto's position in Aquarius, and how Neptune was also connecting to these planets as well. And I think she mentioned, anything similar to this kind of setup where Uranus was in Gemini and Pluto was in Aquarius hasn't happened in something like 1,200 years. So these are once in a lifetime transits, and these shifts are huge. So it's an exciting time to be aligned, and I am doing my best to report, share, update you all on these changes, while also experiencing them myself. And I know the coronal mass injections and the solar flares are also playing a big part in our energy levels. So it's just really important to honor your energy and, just have that grace with yourself and with one another. We're all doing the best we can. So with that, I am complete. And thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening. Stay centered, stay grounded, and I hope to see you on the next one.